There we go. Right at it. Oh my goodness. Welcome back to the channel, Beardos. Today I've got a brand new disc from Discraft that we're going to be throwing on the channel, and it is the new Cigarra. This is the Anthony Barella Cigarra. This is basically a cicada that he's had modified to be a little bit more overstable, as is evidenced by the flight numbers. So the flight numbers on the Cigarra are 76, -12. The flight numbers on the Cicada, which this is a more overstable version of, is 76, -11. So ideally, if you're throwing these, all you should really find is that the Cigarra is going to have a little bit more fade at the end, and it should probably start to fade a bit sooner. So we'll see if we can get any of that -1 turn out of it with my arm speed today. The only other disc I have in my collection that has the exact same numbers as the Cigarra are the Brave. And now I know that this Brave is by Latitude 64, and this Royal Grand Plastic is amazing. It is quite understable. We've got a little bit of a crosswind coming this way, so let's get a few throws at the basket over there. Now I've set myself up about 300 feet from that basket. Should be almost perfect for this. I should be able to get it there, maybe a little bit past. We'll see. So let's start with the Cigarra, and then we'll compare it to the other two. All right, there we go. I'm going to try to put all three of these out pretty flat, and we'll just see how they end up. I'm going to point this straight at the basket. So I went a little bit left, but that's okay. You can see that's going nice and flat, and there's that finish at the end. So I'm going to say almost no turn at all. If I had hit my line, it probably would have been still a bit to the left of the basket. All right, so let's try the Cicada. We're going to try to hit that same line a little bit left. I'm going to kind of go for the gap there and see how much this turns if I throw this pretty flat and straight. There's that turn. There's that turn. Beautiful. I love the flight of the Cicada. I really, really do. All right, next we have the Brave. Oh, I Anheusered that quite a bit. All right, so we got a bit of a cut roll. Let's give that one another toss. Put it flat. We'll go right at that opening again, and it should just drift back at the basket. A little bit of hyzer, but it still flipped up and went dead straight. Look at that. Woo. All right. So the Cicada and the Brave seem to have a slightly similar flight. The Cigarra is definitely more overstable than both of those. All right, let's go back down there, and we'll throw them back this way. Okay, so we're throwing back the other direction. The wind has changed. Obviously, the wind is coming from the opposite direction. It's a little bit behind me and coming across. So we're going to put these on a little bit of a hyzer and see how they handle that angle. We're starting with the Cigarra. Came out low, but on that hyzer, you can see definitely the stability held that hyzer line. Let's see if we can't get the Cicada to flip up. Yeah, absolutely flipped up. And you can see how that understability got me quite a bit more distance from essentially the same disc. All right, Brave, you're on a hyzer. Let's see if you're going to follow which one you're going to be more like. Flip up to flat. Yeah, definitely quite a bit more like the Cicada in its flight when you put it on a hyzer. So as we come up here, we can see all three of the discs landed pretty close together, actually. You know, considering how overstable that Cigarra was and how it held that hyzer line, we still got quite a bit of distance. We're not that far short of the Cicada and the Brave. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. So about 30 feet short. Right, so I've moved myself a little bit closer to the basket. It's probably about 270, 275, so that I can kind of take a little bit off. And I'm going to try to put each of these on the line I think is going to get me closest to the basket. So for the Cigarra, for sure, definitely want to keep it flat and drift it maybe 20 or 30 feet to the right of the basket and just have it finish that last little crash back at the basket. Let's see if we can do that. Up high. All right, a little bit short. So I probably lost some distance by putting it up so high. Cicada, I'm going to put you on a hyzer flip, kind of just to the left of the basket. See if we can't get it to drift at the basket. Oh, look at that. And just fall at the basket. Excellent, just behind it. Brave should do pretty much exactly the same thing. Let's see if we can't follow it up. Maybe keep it a little bit lower. That's better. See, the Brave might be even more understable than the... Get it! Oh my goodness. The Brave might be even more understable than the Cicada, actually. So here we are at hole 13, Dry Creek Disc Golf Course. It's about 300 feet, so I'm not planning to get all the way to the basket, although that would be nice. But I feel like we've got three very distinct stabilities here. The Brave, definitely understable. The Cicada, nice and straight, a little bit understable. And then the Cigarra certainly is more overstable than either the Cicada or the Brave, which is funny because the Brave and the Cigarra have identical numbers. They should be the same, but they're just not. So let's start with the Brave and see if we can't at least get them most of the way down and in the fairway. That's our aiming point. Let it drift back. Nice and straight. I probably could have run it straight at the basket. That should be about pin high as well. All right, Cicada, you're going to come out. I think I'm going to throw this pretty flat. Just like that. A little bit of finish at the end. Awesome, and we should have the basket surrounded on both sides. All right, Cigarra. Let's get you on a bit of anhyzer here. Well, that worked out pretty good. Fantastic. So you can see that if you can give that Cigarra a little bit of shape, it definitely has the glide to get all the way there. All right, so we get down here, we can see. As we get closer down here, we can see we actually did make it all the way, at least on a couple of them. Those two on the left, the Brave and the Cigarra, look like they're pin highs. There it is. Yeah, just fell in behind the log. There's the Brave, there's the Cigarra. They're about pin high. And Cicada, just a little bit short, but that's still a putt. Okay, so let's give all three of these discs a final throw on this hole. Is hole 18. We moved the tee pad back for previously, so now it plays about 270 feet. And the basket is set just a little bit to the left there. There's some wind out in the field. This should be perfect for this Cigarra. Should just be able to put it flat towards the big tree in the background and just have it crash at the basket. Let's see if we can't get it to behave. There we go. Right at it. Oh my goodness. There we go. Well, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Cigarra for sure. I don't even want to throw these two now. All right, Cicada. Let it flip up a little bit. And then crash at the basket. The Brave, I think I'm going to have to either give it a little more anhyzer or get it out to the right a bit more. Nice little flip up. and that's going to finish a little more to the left. Well, all three of those, obviously the Cigarra, well, all right, let's walk up and have a look at those. All right, so what can I say? That Cigarra might just have to go straight into my bag. That was unreal. Perfect flight, exactly the way I wanted it to go, just straight out and then crash at the basket. Well, thanks for joining me here today. Some final thoughts on the Cigarra. It definitely, I think, achieves what they were expecting. They wanted it to be like a Cicada. It flies just about the same distance, and it's definitely more overstable. It's probably, I mean, it's obviously it's my arm speed. The Cicada was never really that super understable for me, kind of like the Brave was. But it's curious that the Brave and the Cigarra have the same numbers, and of course they fly completely differently. Like, for example, the Brave flies beautifully, flips up, turns left, but the Cigarra, well, heck, it just goes straight to the basket, doesn't it? All right. Thanks again, Beardos. We'll see you next time here on Graybeard Disc Golf.